Sorry for the noise, but it's raining in the garage. So this video is on the Pittsburgh Harbor Freight manual tire changer. I'm doing this video because a lot of people are hating on this thing, and a lot of people say it's junk, and you know, I've done those two already. I already did another one too. This is my last one, but I'm going to show you, you know, even this Harbor Freight manual tire changer can do these 6-ply ATV tires. These things are really stiff and they're old, and it's cold outside, so I'm doing this one-handed. Now, a lot of people, they'll start doing this, and they'll try to break it in one go. You know, I kind of ease this down a few, don't put a ton of weight on it, and then work it around. We'll do about 3 or 4 more times. I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do here, and I'll come back here and it'll pop. So this is the second spot. I'm getting this part. Oh, there we go. Everybody says it's trash, but it works for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and break it all the way around. And I make sure before I take it off and put it up on the mount that I break them both sides all the way around. All right, as you see, bead's broken on both sides now, all the way around. That's the key. Before you stick it on this piece, don't try to break part of it and say the seal's broken. It's broken all the way around. So now we're gonna stick it onto the mount. All right, it's on here, it's centered on the hole here. Grab the rubber mat. I always put this on top, because essentially once you have the pin locked in, the rim's not shifting on the base because of the pin. What will shift is the wheel on here. It shouldn't, but it should be fine once you put this on here and put it down. It shouldn't shift at all, but that's what I do. Pin in next. Put that here. Goes through. So, and then this goes on. This is just threaded. So you spread this on. I like making sure that this is my only complaint, is this thing doesn't line up totally, but I like it hitting that base just right. Make sure you get that force down on that base. You're going to use the bar that's provided. Put it in, and you're going to tighten it down. You don't need it super tight. I mean, just kind of a little. And if that thing's moving around, you can retighten it. But that should be good where that thing's sitting. All right, next step. Soapy water. I spray it religiously around here, just like so. I see some guys just put a little bit, but for these extra thick ATV tires, these 6-plies, I try to spray it a lot so it'll go ahead and come on over. All right, so next step, you're gonna take your bar, point side like that. You're gonna get it underneath the tire on the bead where it meets the bead of the rim. Now the only complaint I have on here is this weld that's on this right there. Sometimes it'll mar up the rim, like right where it touches, so I try not to get that weld on there. So you're gonna pop her down just like this, get it started. All right, so now you've got it started over the rim. You're gonna start working it around. It's kind of hard doing this with one hand, but I'm legitimately holding the phone and doing it with one hand, just like so. Just gonna keep moving it around nice and slow. You don't have to rush. And remember, that soap is the key. You're gonna make sure this thing's nice and soaked, because that's what's reducing the friction between the bead and the rim. And there you go. I did that with one hand. Coming on around. This next part is the hardest part for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see. And kind of press back down on the bead on the bottom. There we go. So now it's loose. Again, the key is to make sure where the rim and where the tire is meeting that it's got enough soapy water on it. It really, really helps if it's slick to get it up and over the rim. So I can't really show you, but I'm spraying the bead. There you can see it now. And I'm gonna do that all the way around inside. Make sure I get that really well, because that's 90% of your problem when you're having problems getting it off. The friction is just too large to get it off. Yep, just like so. You can see how much I'm spraying. I'd rather spray a little bit more and make it easier on myself than fight it. All right, so this is the hardest part. The key here is when you're pulling up on the opposite side to get it above the rim, you need to make sure this bottom one is in here, in this area, pass in between the two beads. If you don't, there's not enough distance. The hole's not big enough if you have it sitting on the bead up top, or if it's on the bead down here. You need to have it in this part so that there's enough give for you to get it started. This is actually the hardest part for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this all with one hand, but I'm gonna try it. Yeah, see, it's moving on me. So, I don't think it's gonna pop and stay. We're gonna try it though. All right, there it goes. And voila. That's all one-handed. Y'all saw it here. All right, next step for me is I check the rim. The rim's not that bad. There's like 2 spots that are rusty right here. So I normally I have a little, I think this used to be brass. It's so nasty now, it kind of looks like steel. But I just take this and I run it on this bead. So I'll just run it like this and I'll go all the way around. Run it on this top side and I'll run it all the way around. And once it's clean, then you're ready. This one's actually one of the better ones. I had a really nasty one of those tires. So I'll go ahead and get this cleaned up. Y'all don't need to see me cleaning it up. I'm gonna replace this tire valve too. I'll bring it back. Well, this may have been the real reason my tire was leaking. See all those cracks? No wonder. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my knife, cut this out and put in the new one. You can see I got this nice and cleaned up. Nice and cleaned up. So, all right, I just take a little bit of oil, use anything you want. I think this is just SAE 30, or you could use used motor oil. And I just oil this up a little bit, just like so. And I use my pliers. And just come over here. I already cleaned it up. It's nice and clean. Make sure you clean these holes. And I just push through, and I grab it with the pliers. I'm not gonna be able to do this with one hand. It's probably the one thing you can't do with one hand. I just get it seated. Pull up on it until it gets seated. Yep, there it is. Just make sure it's seated all the way around like I showed you. Without it seated all the way around, you're not gonna be able to pump it up. So, all right, next step. A lot of people tell you don't do this, but I do it. I'm just gonna take the same thing I used to clean off, and I'm just gonna clean the bead. Now you're not pressing down like you're on the rim. Like on the rim, you're pressing really hard down to get all the crud off. Here, I'm kind of just letting it sit and work its way around. And I'm just cleaning all the dirt off. This one's actually not that bad. One of those ones over there, I spent probably 10 minutes cleaning off all the rust off of the rim and there was caked dirt in here, and that was why that one was leaking. It wasn't the valve. That one was just, there was dirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off, just going like this around, nice and light, just getting it prepped, and then I'll clean it off. All right, so got that all cleaned up, as you can see. Looks good. So my next step is, you don't have to do this. I mean, I've changed tires, and I see a lot of people do this too. They just use soapy water to put it back on. But this is some of that tire mounting paste. So I'm just going to take some of that. I don't have my thing over here, but take some of this and just wipe it on this seal real well. I place it on liberally. I don't do this for a living or for a business, so I take a decent amount of this and I just put it on here. So be liberal about it, both sides. And since you're installing it onto the rim, you don't need to do the inside, except for one side, whatever side's going on the rim. The back side you could put a little bit on just so it gets it a little easier to go down. Okay, so you can see I put some on both sides. I even did some on the inner wheel well there, which you don't really need to do because this is the way it's going to go on. But I did it just to show you that I did it to the back side of here as well. One thing to make sure of, because I've done this once or twice, is to make sure your rotation, since it has a rotation line or arrow, make sure your rotation is correct for how this is being installed on the vehicle. It doesn't matter when you do your first one, but after you've done 3 of them or 2 of them on the front and the back, and they're different sizes, you gotta make sure it's the right way, or you're gonna be taking it back off. All right. So what I start off doing is kind of having it at a big angle with respect to the rim. And I'm gonna push it on just like this. Get it, just like you took it off. Just try to get most of it on like that. Now, there you go. Next part is the hardest part, getting it on. Again, make sure you have it when you start, that this part of this bead on one side or the other is inside. That's what I'm gonna do. This part's probably the hardest part to do by one hand, but I'll get the bar and try it. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. If it doesn't work, you're just gonna have to trust me, it's easy to do it one-handed. Got a little crowbar here, we'll put here, and that'll allow me to try to roll this thing around. Hopefully the crowbar doesn't come loose. You're just gonna wanna hope that the duckbill stays underneath when you roll it around. And there's gonna come a point where it gets super tight, and then you're just gonna have to try to work it around. And you just shove this under here and work it around. And you don't need to do the whole thing at once. I feel like that's the biggest issue everybody has with these things. They think it's a industrial machine, and it's not. This is a noob machine, as they would call it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this on because I can't do this one-handed. But you can. It's gonna be very easy. The big deal is just getting these last few pieces over. I'm kind of near this tire valve right here, and I don't want to damage it. So keeping that in there. Let's see if I can't get this to come on. Dang it. Yeah, I can't do this one-handed. Dang it. All of it just came out. All right, well, I'll bring it back. All right. That took probably 2 minutes. Got it done. So she's in there. So, I know a lot of people think they're trash, but I feel like they work pretty well. As long as they're bolted hard into the ground and it's not moving and budging, you're good. So, next part is getting this thing pumped up. All right, next step, pulling out the tire valve. Pretty simple, just a little tire tool. I'm gonna pull that out. Man, It's so much easier when you got two hands to do things. There you go. All right, after the valve is removed, this is what I use to pop mine. Make sure you read your notes here. Most time they tell you your max seat and pressure. And these are low. So there's 1, 2. Both of them set. All right, that looks good. Sometimes the bead won't match. You'll have leakage. I don't recommend this. Sometimes you can put a strap around it, tighten it up, and make the bead just touch. But as soon as you see it starting to catch and the bead it's starting to fill, you gotta take the ratchet strap off, or else you're gonna break it. But yeah, that one was pretty easy to get on. So, all right, put your valve back in using your trusty tool. Get those back in. I put mine in a little tight. There we go. And I use one of these with the dial gauge on it to fill it up, because that's the safest, fastest way to make sure you get the right one. All right, after you have it pumped up to the right pressure, cap her, and then time to take her off. So we'll loosen this off. Same way we put it on, nothing special. I spin it sometimes to get the pin out. This comes off, and voila, she is fixed. So I'll pick this off, put it in the pile, and I'll bring you back to show you what I did to this thing. All right, so here it is again. I did weld. I'm not the best welder in the world, so I bolted it all together, because this is supposed to be able to be taken all the way apart, but the base is different from the little legs. So I welded all the base to the legs and bolted it, then welded it together. And that just makes it super sturdy. Like, this thing is not going anywhere. And then I used some of the red head anchors, so I can unbolt this thing and stick it in the corner. That was one of my musts, because garage space is key for me. May not be for everybody, but and then they give you this rubber mat to go over that little knuckle right there, so it doesn't destroy everything, because it will destroy the rim if you don't use it. And see, this thing goes out your way. It's super nice. I like it. That's all the crud from the other two I did. So I guess all in all, like, I wouldn't use this thing on like $2,000 rims, but for my ATV rims, my old, my truck rims, my car tire rims, they're not $2,000. I don't care about them, so I'm gonna do them on here. Saves me a ton of money. So hopefully this helped you. See you on the next one.